founded the Center for Italian Studies Babilonia in 1992, in fact, because I felt almost the urge to let lovers of the Italian language and Italian culture to know more about this island. This is obviously my land. Sicily is the place where I was born. And it's an island so full of art, so full of history, so full of culture, that for me, it was really a pity that international people who wanted to study Italian language and Italian culture didn't have an opportunity to study that in the south of Italy. The Center for Italian Studies Babilonia in Taormina was the first Italian language school founded from Rome south. And the reason for that is, again, I felt that people needed to know more about the history of these islands. They need to know more that the history of Italy does not start from Rome on. That before Rome was even founded, the Greek Empire here was expanding to Tuscany and Venice, and they influenced the Etruscan culture. They founded colonies in near Venice. Even Venice was not even founded. The empire of Syracuse was so powerful that Athens had to declare war against Syracuse 3 times. That at that time in Sicily there were philosophers and comedy and tragedy writers all being around. That while everywhere else in Europe they were, as we like to say, growing and farming, just farming, here we had Greek theaters, we had Greek temples. Rome and the Roman Empire absorbed everything from the Greek culture, and the Greek culture was here at the Magna Greece. For me, it was absurd that people who wanted to study the Italian language did not know that in the Middle Age there was a huge debate about what language had to become the national language. If the language spoken in the court of Frederick II in Palermo, or if the language spoken in the court of Medicis in Florence. And it is absurd that people does not know that the first movie Under the Water were made in Sicily in 1946. All these different kind of things made me take the decision that I wanted to open this Italian Cultural Center here in Sicily, in Taormina.
And you offer a very unique way of learning Italian, so it's not just reading and writing and grammar, it's hands-on.
Yeah. Well, in fact, we tried to put into practice some theories about language learning and language acquisition. We believe that language, naturally speaking, is learned without grammar rules, without list of verbs, without all of that, without what we call those rational activities. Naturally speaking, each one of us has learned his own mother language without studying grammar, without memorizing list of words. My mom and dad did not set me down to study grammar rules or memorize list of words. And when I got to school, I was perfectly fluent in Italian. So there's a natural way of learning languages, which is called language acquisition, and it works on the subconscious level. And at Babilonia, we try to balance the adult need to rationalize everything. So we have what we call language analysis session, where all activities are meant to better understand how this language works. And it's a little bit like being in a lab and watching into a microscope to see how things happen. But there's another session called the Communicative Activities, where we activate all the subconscious acquisition process, and languages learn naturally. You know?
With activities.
With activities.
Yeah,
spoken
cooking.
Activities. And we also make a point that even if you are absolute beginner in the language, you need to start to use what we call authentic material, which is newspapers, radio files, audio files, things recorded from TV or taken from internet. Together with the language part, we also offer the opportunity to know more about the Italian culture, for example, through cooking or through ceramics decoration, or knowing more about our territory with the hiking and trekking courses and programs. We give the opportunity to know more about food and wine of Sicily. And these out-of-the-class activities are fundamental also to learn the language. I like to tell my students that language is is closer to music than to mathematics. And unfortunately, many adults have this idea about grammar rules and blah blah blah, like language is just a mathematical, rational thing, and they couldn't be more wrong. Language is more like music. You need to dive into this music and get familiar with the sound, get familiar with the rhythm, get familiar with the musicality of the language. And you can do this just by being fully immersed in a natural situation.
The Sicilian Project.
This Sicilian Project. Well, and it relates, in fact, with the Center for Italian Studies, because we had a great person working in the Babilonia staff, which is Donna Marie. Donna Marie is our academic advisor for all our programs with US universities. And she's an old good friend of Mr. Alfred Zappala, who is the president of the association, the Sicilian Project. So one time, Donna Marie came to me and he said, I've been talking with this very good friend of mine, and there's an association of Sicilian Americans who would like to fund a learning project, an English learning project for Sicilian kids, because they feel that like how it happened with their families when they moved to the States, struggling also because of not knowing English well enough to immediately being interactive in the American society. We would like to give the Sicilian kid this fundamental tool for success in nowadays world. So Alfred Zappala and the whole the Sicilian Project Association came to us through Donna Marie proposing to set up English classes for kids. And I was enthusiastic about the project. And
you knew there was a need.
Yeah, and I experienced this myself personally. I studied languages in universities, and I think that one of the key of success for the Babilonia, the Italian language center, was the fact that I could go all around the world and express myself in English. That definitely helped my business. So I personally know how important it is to be quite fluent in English in order to realize, put in place your dreams, your ideas. And nowadays you need English if you want to be a waiter in a pizzeria, or if you want to be in PRs, if you want to run an hotel, or if you want to find your own opportunities somewhere else in the world. And this is what the Sicilian Project does, giving our Sicilian kids the opportunity to improve their English, again, away from the grammar rules and little words, but to be active, communicative speaking, to be able to go in a bar and buy a Coke, to have a conversation with people. This is the soul of this project.
And so
and this
how
is
do
what
you
we share with Alfred Zappala.
And so how do you and your teachers, or the teachers, teach English differently than they do in regular Italian schools.
Especially in public schools. Unfortunately, in public schools in Italy, there's a more of a traditional methodology applied, which is syllabus based on literature rather than normal conversational context. It's mostly based on grammar rules and memorizing list of words rather than oral communication. And most of the English teachers in public schools in Italy are Italians. So definitely there's an issue with pronunciation.
So your teachers are all English as a first language?
Absolutely, native English speakers, yes.
How do you pick the children that are taught?
We went to different places, different towns in our area, namely Taormina, Trappitello, Giardini and Gaggi, and we talked with the local administrators, and we said, hey, here we have an opportunity. We have the Sicilian project funding English courses for our kids. Would you please be generous in providing a space? We will provide the teacher, we will provide our expertise, we will provide materials, we will set it all up. We just need the space. And luckily, we found a very open-minded local administrator like Mayor Franco Taduni in Gaggi or Alessandro Costantino and the Mayor of Giardini, the schoolmaster Professor Carlo Santoro in Taormina and Trappitello, and they welcomed immediately our project, and so they made it possible for us and for the Sicilian project to run. The Sicilian project courses are offered normally to young kids between 12 and 14. But we have another project, the Sicilian project this year in Gaggi, to have a summer camp and to offer this opportunity to younger kids, say between 8 and 10. What is important is that young kids find attractive, fun, motivating their lessons when they learn a foreign language, namely English. And this can be done with an expert teacher on one side, but native speaker, so that they feel immediately in context. They immediately feel like they are in the States or in England or in Canada or in Australia or wherever English is spoken.
So is the approach taken by these English-speaking teachers the same as in Babylonia? So hands-on activities, field trips?
So. Absolutely so. Absolutely so. I mean, this is again a language learning philosophy that we apply for all languages we teach, from Italian to English, but we also teach Russian and German and other foreign languages. Well, it's called communicativism. It's something that is academically very well known and mostly comes from the United States with all theories by Krashen and so on. So yes, we do apply the same kind of teaching philosophy to all our courses. And in fact, if you go to the Sicilian project Facebook, you will see also short videos about what we do in class, what our teachers does in class with their kids, and you will see that in fact it's very much hands-on.
So the Sicilian project is only offered for 1 year to those students.
Well,
to that specific group.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, normally yes. So
then
because that gives also other kids to have the same opportunity. And again, it's because we believe that one curiosity is installed in their brains. We are pretty sure that they will continue to study on their own.
So if you put in the seeds, plant the seeds.
The same happened to me personally. I fall in love with languages because of my French teacher, and who, contrary to all the other foreign language teacher, came to class, never spoke a word of Italian, started to throw out objects and started to tell us French names, and from there we developed. And then within we started to do role plays and music and songs, all the fun things. And I got inspired. All my classmates got inspired. And so again, the role of the teachers is fundamental to give inspirations. And once the seed is in the ground, I'm sure it will blossom.
How do you measure success in those students?
Well, the thing is that actually for this project, we don't really need to measure success. I mean, it's not required by the Sicilian project to have a final exam or a certification, blah, blah. But most of students who were with us in this project, they took independently certifications like first certificate or TESOL or a Trinity College certification. Those are official English language certifications in Europe, and they've been very, very successful. This morning, Mayor Taduni told us that a group of those students went to Malta with other groups coming from all over Italy to to live in an English-speaking environment, and they were among the best. And so I think that this is what concerns more the Sicilian Project Association and Babilonia, not really measuring A or B, A minus, B plus, or those kind of things.
What do you hope is the future for the Sicilian project?
Well, first of all, I hope that this incredible generosity from the Sicilian Project Association members will remain and even grow. And I'm sure that Alfred Zappalà will be successful this. He is very determined to have these projects grown. He is the first believer in this project, and we strongly feel that. And therefore, we hope to expand and have more, involve more towns in this project to give our kids that opportunity as well.
So, Sicily.
Yeah, Sicily.
Sicily, a place of contradictions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Yes. Well, just look around. This is a place where fire wins over water. When I say that, I mean that, for example, look at the Aeolian Islands. You see those volcanoes coming up from the water, and volcanoes are fire, and the fire wins over the water. Look at the caponatina in cooking, sour and sweet together. Look at the Etna eruptions that can destroy things, but on the same time the ashes are the best fertilizer, and so we grow beautiful fruits and vegetables and stuff. Look at the mafia and anti-mafia. Unfortunately, Sicily is associated with mafia, but people do not think enough that most of the people who fight against the mafia are Sicilians as well. They are brave, courageous, proud Sicilians that want to get this island rid of this cancer. And but the spotlight is there. It's not on these guys. You probably know that Italy has more or less 70% of the UNESCO protected monuments and beauties. Most of them, they are in Sicily. We have beautiful towns from Agrigento, Syracuse, Palermo, Catania, Noto, Modica, and so on and so on. Architectural jewels, but at the same time, You move a little bit far away and you see construction speculation with very ugly neighborhoods. And this is Sicily. Sicily is, again, a beautiful island. It's an island we all love. But it's how can I say, it's a hard taste. It's not a taste for everyone. And you need to come here to really experience what is all about, you know, and not just reading the stereotypical comments about, you know, about Sicily. And this is, again, well, we hope will be finally our goal. What it is our goal? What it is our mission?
How do you think that can be done?
I think it can simply be done by everyone daily engagement. You know, just do what you have to do in your private and public life as it should be done. We should do that with honesty, integrity, and even proud of our history. And I think that probably a bit more investment should be done on Sicilian kids about learning more about their own culture. They should know more about their history, which has unfortunately in parts been cancelled from syllabus and stuff.
What do you want the world to know about Sicily?
I would like very much the world to stop associating Sicily and use the word Sicily as a synonymous of mafia. I think that this is obviously a big issue here. And as I said before, most of the Sicilians fight against it. And unfortunately, some of them even died because of it. And they were Sicilians, not from Mars or Venus. But I like to go around the world, and when I say I'm from Sicily, I wouldn't like people to say, oh, okay, then you are a mafioso. I would like people to say, oh, you're from Sicily. Oh, the land where the three monotheist religions were living together. The first real melting pot society in history, where Muslims, Christians, Jews were living peaceful together and bringing up beautiful culture, beautiful monuments, and so on. I like people to say, oh, Sicily, where the poetry was born. Does anyone knows that the sonetto was invented by the Sicilian poets in the court of Frederick II? The same sonetto that made the Tuscan poets so worldwide known. Does anyone knows that the first movie with under the water filming was made in Sicily? Does anyone know that the first person who put the oral law into written codes was in Sicily? Does people know all of that? No. The only thing that people know about Sicily is mafia. And we don't want to neglect that. We all fight that on a daily basis. But Sicily is so much more. And my wish is that when my son will travel around the world and say, I was born in Sicily, he doesn't have to listen to stereotypes. I hate stereotypes.
Awesome. Well done.